Okay, hello everyone. I just wanted to get you caught up to speed for the few students that actually missed class, and then basically we're gonna finish off the rest of the custom blocks for the customization for the lab itself. Let me get through this. Let me actually adjust this so it's not shining back behind my head. Make it a little bit easier to see. Okay, so currently we've done the month name, and then we did the day name, and then we did the days. And I was able to fix that. It just took me a sec to really think about it. And with the days, the way that you can actually utilize what we actually generated in the month name, you can actually use that argument that you created where it said month name, and you can actually use that in the argument section for your custom days block, and then that will actually automatically push through. So let's say if we click on the month name, and we actually, let's say, put 8 in the month name, it will actually generate August, and then automatically August will go into days, and it will actually tell us the days for August. Same with, like, if we do February, it's going to change it to February, and then if we do the days, it switches it to 29 days. So if I actually ran it as a loop, like put it under a flag and made sure that every one of them actually went right through, then it would actually work. So it was just thinking about how you actually take that information and put it into the argument, and you can actually pass it through to the next custom block. So it definitely does work. Because one thing that I did in that month name block, because it does actually have month name generated as the output, because we're setting that equal to month name, it actually is a variable that can be used in the argument section of a custom block. Okay, so that's just kind of getting you up to speed. So we will go back to the lab itself, and I will carry on with where we were at. So we were about to start number 4, which is making custom snap block that's a reporter block, and we're going to call it min, and this is going to determine which between two numbers is smaller and reports the value. If the two numbers are equal, then it will report either one, either or. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so starting out, like I said, anytime you make a custom block, it doesn't really matter which category you choose it under, but it's more so for creating a custom block that is actually in a category that makes more sense to you. Since this is kind of an operation, we could always select operators, go down to make a block, and we're going to make that block min. Now for that block, it would probably be best, since we want 2 inputs going into it, because we're going to be determining which of the 2 numbers is smaller, we want to add 2 arguments to that. So we'll put number 1 and number 2. Okay, and let's enlarge that, so this might help actually see this a little bit better as well. So number 1 and number 2. Okay, so this information is coming in, and we're actually going to want to determine whether or not one's the minimum. So let's do two comparisons, okay? Because we just want to find out which one is the smaller number, okay? So we can actually use control blocks because we can use those if blocks to actually do these comparisons because they set us up for booleans. So let's grab two of the if blocks, okay? And then we're going to come in and do some operations. So we're going to say if number 1 is greater than number 2, then number 2 is our smaller number, correct? So let's go into variables. Let's make a variable and call it min. Okay. And so if number 1 is greater than number 2, let's say that we will set min to number 2. And much like this, we just need to do the comparison and flip it around. So we could do the same thing. Let's just duplicate this. Okay, throw that away. Duplicate this, but let's switch these up. In this case, if number 2 is the greater one, this number 1 is our minimum number, right? And then, at this point, we can just say minimum, because that's the one that's going to be the smaller number, right? So we just need to come here to a looks, and we're going to say min. And that's basically our minimum block. So let's grab a minimum block and test it real quick. We'll put that under operators. We can come down here and grab a min block. Let's put in 5 and -2. Boom. And it's going to tell us -2 is the smaller number, which makes sense. We'll try to swap the direction. We'll put 2 and 12. And that time it tells us 2. So it definitely does work. Okay? Remember to save again. Come up here, your paper, save. Make sure that we're saved. Number 5, we're going to do another snap block that is a reporter. Wait a second, let me actually edit this. So I just realized what I did. We want to do a reporter block. I apologize about that. So, reporter block, we want to call it min. And see, the reporter block will actually end up reporting out the information. But since we already created all this, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this information. fix it. And it adds that little 2 because we already had that other one saved. I apologize about that. So we'll fix that real quick. And now it's all done. And it is fixed. And now we have a proper reporter block. Yep, it gives us the proper report. Okay. So let's save that. Okay. And then the next one is we're going to do a custom snap reporter block. It's called max, determines the two numbers, which one's larger value. Oh, so let's make block, make sure it's a reporter block. We're going to call this one max. And we want two numbers coming in. And actually, this one is a lot like min, except for this one, I'm going to want to create a variable, call it max, and we're going to report max, and we want to switch and set these to max, because what we're going to do is just switch these around. So if number 1 is greater than number 2, in fact we can just do it like this. Keep it like that, and then just switch these. So if number 1 is greater, then number 1 is set to max. If number 2 is greater, then number 2 is set to max. And then we report max. We're going to apply all this. We're okay. Operator. Let's pull max reporter block. 6 and 12. So now we have min and max. Let's save. And let's look at the next one. So number 6, we're going to write a custom snap predicate block that's called between, that determines if a number is between two other numbers. And actually, so One thing that I forgot on these is if the numbers are equal, because I don't have a conditional for the equal. It says one or the other, but what we can just do is we can create it such that it'll just say number 2. So we'll duplicate. This because we want to also edit the max one. So we put that there. We have to make sure we switch this to max. But no, this also gives the condition that they're equal. So we apply that. Condition if they're equal, apply that, okay. Okay, and now both those are fixed too. So we save that. Now we're on to the Boolean to create the predicate block that is called between. So let's do this one as an operator too. Make it, it's going to be a predicate, we're going to call it between. And if the first number is equal to either the other two numbers or is between them, then the block is true. So if the number is equal to or in between the other two. So it's going to ask basically for 3 numbers. Okay. We do okay, we have to add number 1. Number 2. And number 3. And knowing this, I'm going to also make a variable that's called between. Just because we want to know the true or false value. So starting out, we're going to see let's think about what we need to do. So looking at the operators, we need to be able to see if the number is less than 1 but greater than the other, or vice versa. So we might have to use an extended Boolean to make this work. I think the best bet would be to kind of figure out the best way to, because we're basically setting up a determination to see if conditions are met because we've got to get a true false value. It has to be true if the number's in between or equal to one of the numbers, right? So first off, what we can actually do, instead of calling this, we're going to scrap this. Let's delete this. So I think what we can do instead is I'm going to make this predicate between what I want to do to make this easier. We are going to use one of our other blocks to actually make this a little bit easier. So we'll call the first one the call number. And these next two are going to be number 1 and number 2. And the reason for that is we're going to use either our min or our max because we'll be able to actually create a result for that. So we can actually take in number 1 and number 2, and this is going to give us a value for min, because it's going to report our minimum, right? So we can also use max because it will automatically give us our max as well. So we can check to see if call number is so if this is the minimum, we gotta see that call number is greater than minimum, or duplicate, or equal to minimum. So that's an OR statement. And the other one is max. Call number is less than or equal to but here's the only here. So these are or statements because it has to be one or the other, right? So the call number is either equal to the max or less than the max, and then greater than the min or equal to the min. But both of these conditions have to be true at the same time. So now we have to use an AND block and then put both those in there. And at this point, this one conditional, right, is going to let us know that in fact that our call number is in fact in between. So we made a variable between. So then between I won't do that. I want to set between to true. So between is true if that condition is met. Should we do this? Yeah, let's do this else. So we should do this. This is one time that you should do an else, just because you want to cover all your bases. So if that set between true, else between is false. And then we're going to report between. So apply all that, okay. And now we're going to check our between operator. Let's put 6 through 2 and 8. And that's a true. And let's put that as 1 instead. And that's a false. So our between boolean actually works. It's set up. Let's hit save. And the cool thing about this is it's showing you that you can actually utilize the other things that you're creating in the custom blocks that you're actually using, because they kind of build on each other. So we are on number 7. And number 7, we're doing a custom snap block, another predicate, and it's called at least as long as, and it determines whether a word has at least a specified number of letters. So let's do another operator, make a block. Actually, let's do this one different, just to show you that it does actually work like you can do it in other things. So we'll call this one a looks block, and we're going to make a block in looks. That's a predicate, and we want it to be at least as long as. Okay. And this predicate block, we also need to add the input of word. And we need to add another input of specified number. Okay. So we want to make a variable. It's word. Also want to make another variable, specify number. Yeah, we don't necessarily need this one. Because it's automatically going to be in the custom block, but we do want to do the actually we don't even need this one. What we want is like a variable that's called at least as long as. We'll call it alala, because it means at least as long as. So our alala will actually test what's going to happen. So the nice thing is you do actually have an item that takes in when you take in a word, it actually lets you know how many letters are in it, just by the fact that you can actually do length, which is kind of cool, because length of yada right here is what you can do. So let's say word, we put it right there. And then that's actually going to give you automatically the length of the word as a value. So what you can actually do is you can look to see if that is equal to specified number, or it's greater than specified number. Let's just switch these up just to make it look a little bit easier to tell. And then you want this to allow you to check for either condition. So it's got to be an OR block. So those two conditions in an OR block. And so if it's one or the other, we got to set up a conditional, right? So if, or let's do it again like the if then else, or the if else, sorry. So if this is true, our alala actually we just need to set alala to true. But if not, this bar, duplicate it, switch this one to false, put it there, put that one there. So if that's specified, if it's longer or if it's equal to, it's true. If not, it's false. And then we will report alala. Apply, okay. So it looks more. Say corridor, and corridor's number is 8. I just remembered. The main thing is expecting a list, not just a word. There's definitely a way to sorry. It's this one. It's in the operators, it's not in the lists. So it's length of text. And this is the right one. And yes, that's true. But if we were to put 9 there, it's false. So it definitely works. So now we've got to save. Save and we're good. So that's 7 of them, and then I told you I would do the 8th one too, so we're going to go to the bonus area, and we're actually going to do the custom snap block of leap year. That takes a number, a year number, and it sees it as an argument, and it's going to tell you whether or not it's a leap year. Okay. One thing that I told you is we're going to end up using this modulus block. It's going to help a lot just because it makes it a little bit easier to detail stuff like this. Because what modulus does is it basically checks to do divisibility. Because what you can do is you find out what the value of what comes out of it. So let's say if we put the year 2000 and we put 4, we're trying to divide it by 4 and seeing what the remainder is. See how it gives you 0. So basically this is going to let you know if it's a leap year or not, because this will give you 2, right? So 2. So this will easily be able to tell you whether or not it's a leap year or not. Okay, so let's come in here and we're going to do an operator block. But this one's actually going to be a custom snap block that's a command. And then it's going to be a command called leap year. Okay, and then we have to add an argument. Year input. Okay, so what's going to end up happening is that your input is what we're going to mod with 4, because we want to know whether or not that is a leap year. And the way we can actually tell is to be able to evaluate by dividing by 4 and seeing if it's divisible by 4, because if the remainder is 0, then it's a leap year. Okay, so let's do a conditional. That's if else, and what's going to happen is, so if that is equal to 0, then let's make a variable, and then we'll call it leap year. Leap year, if that's divisible by 0, then it's actually true. And else, then leap year is it's false. Okay, and then you can get around the say block. Say what we'll do is we'll grab a join block. So we'll just say it like this. So say leap year that's going to be your input, and then we'll say is that's going to give us a true or false response, right? So 4040. And 4040 is a leap year. So that's 4045. 4045 is a leap year. False. Okay. It definitely does work. Well, there you have it. Sorry it took so long to get through this, but I had to do a little bit of problem solving on my own to just kind of muddle through some of this. But that's the first 8 that's on that sheet. That will actually give you 100 if you go through and you just do these just like that. You'll get a full 100% for going through these and actually finishing those up like that. This pretty long video. I apologize for it being so long, but this is a pretty in-depth topic of how you can actually utilize the different types of blocks and how functionally you can mess around with them to put them in your own program for customization. So it's an important aspect of a lot of this. But that, in fact, will give you 100 on this assignment. I need to talk to Ms. Stevens a little bit further about how we're going to help you guys get this all finished up. But this will definitely help you finish all that up. You can continue to do the rest of the other 4 of them. That will give you 150%, but it's up to you on if you want to finish that out or not. Sorry for taking so long to get this done, but we're kind of limited on what we're allowed to have you do even outside of classroom time. So have a great day, everybody. I will be talking to you in the morning for class. See you soon.